Hello guys, I'm Tom, and today we're going to take a look at what the new series Alien Earth is all about. One of the most highly anticipated shows of the moment is about to arrive, ready to revolutionize the fanbase of the Alien universe. This is Alien Earth, a fascinating expansion that not only broadens the mythology of this iconic franchise, but also marks a major milestone as the first live-action adventure set within this vast and dark cosmos. This production serves not only as a direct prequel to the original film directed by Ridley Scott, but also cleverly and organically connects to the narrative established in Prometheus and Alien Covenant, offering a storytelling bridge between the different cinematic milestones of the saga. The story of Alien Earth transports us to a previously unexplored era, a time when the terrifying xenomorphs had already made their presence felt on Earth, long before the events we know from the classic films. This fresh and in-depth approach invites us to discover not only the origin and nature of these creatures, but also to understand the obsession that the Weyland-Yutani megacorporation harbored toward them, driven by its own dark ambitions and interests. The series dives into the motivations that fueled the relentless pursuit and experimentation on these extraterrestrial life forms, revealing secrets that had long remained hidden in the shadows. But the narrative goes far beyond alien biology or horror. Alien Earth also delves into the political and corporate backdrop of this futuristic world, exploring the fierce rivalry between Weyland-Yutani and another powerful Earth-based megacorporation called Prodigy. This conflict sets off a battle of power, greed, and control that stretches far beyond simple corporate competition, directly affecting the fate of humanity and the safety of the entire planet. The inciting incident that sets the entire plot into motion is the crash of the USS Maginot, a scientific vessel owned by Weyland-Yutani that was transporting live specimens of various extraterrestrial life forms. Its impact on a human city releases these beings, including the fearsome xenomorphs, triggering an immediate explosion of chaos, panic, and unprecedented violence. This tragedy becomes the central axis of the series, where each episode reveals the consequences of this catastrophe and how the characters fight to survive and understand the threat that now lives among them. The events of Alien Earth are set chronologically in the year 2120, that is, 16 years after the events of Alien Covenant and 23 years after Prometheus. Interestingly, this date places the series just 2 years before the crew of the Nostromo encounters the Xenomorph and the Engineer's Juggernaut ship on LV-426 in the year 2122, thus positioning this series as a crucial narrative bridge within the Alien universe. Director Noah Hawley, in an exclusive interview with Screen Rant, revealed key details about the essence and tone of this production. He stated that Alien Earth will not only seek to expand the tension and horror that define the franchise, but will also explore deeper themes, such as humanity's obsession with immortality, the ethics behind synthetic life creation, and the power struggle between massive corporations. Since late last year, fans have been treated to teasers and sneak peeks released on social media, gradually unveiling intriguing details about the USS Maginot. These clips show the ship loaded with samples of alien life, stored in special containers where the creatures remain in a state of suspended animation. Among the crew is a curious cat equipped with a camera on its collar, whose exploration of the ship adds a touch of mystery and humanity to the plot. We know the Maginot collected 5 alien life forms from the darkest and most remote corners of the cosmos, each one unique, deadly, and promising to add variety and terror to the story's development. Among these species is a xenomorph, whose containment unit is crucial to the plot and will later be breached, unleashing horror. Another presented creature is a winged, insect-like organism, reminiscent of the facehuggers known in the Saga, but with its own distinct and terrifying features. There's also a parasitic species that attaches itself to the victim's head, stealing their eyes and taking full control of their nervous systems, an element of body horror that fits perfectly with the dark, oppressive atmosphere that defines Alien. As for Earth's political and social context in 2120, the planet is dominated by 5 megacorporations that, thanks to their immense economic and technological power, exert near-total control over governments and people's lives. Among the most prominent are Prodigy, Weyland-Yutani, Lynch Dynamic, and Threshold, each with its own agenda, but all united by a common goal: the relentless pursuit of human immortality. These companies invest enormous resources into the development of synthetic life, advanced artificial intelligence, and revolutionary cybernetic technologies, aiming to create hybrid beings that combine the best of humanity with the pinnacle of biotech engineering. A key turning point arises when Prodigy surpasses Weyland-Yutani with a technological breakthrough: the ability to transfer human consciousness into synthetic or android bodies that do not tire, do not age, and are immune to disease. Bodies that retain the original mind intact along with enhanced abilities. This breakthrough threatens Weyland-Yutani's historic dominance and poses a direct challenge to its power. Amid this precarious balance of forces, we meet Wendy, the protagonist of the series, who is herself one of these hybrids, an android that possesses a real human consciousness. She must navigate her synthetic nature and human emotions, facing ethical and existential dilemmas that enrich the narrative. The tension between corporations intensifies, recalling Peter Weyland's historical obsession, founder of the original Weyland Corporation, with immortality and the creation of androids virtually indistinguishable from humans. After his death during the Prometheus expedition and the eventual merger with Yutani, Weyland-Yutani cemented itself as a pioneer in the mass production of synthetic androids, capable of integrating into human society without raising suspicion. In a desperate and radical move to avoid falling behind, Weyland-Yutani orders its synthetic android aboard the Maginot to release all the living creatures it carries and redirect the ship toward Prodigy City, the technological capital of its rival, with the explicit intention of causing massive destruction and eliminating the competition. Thus, the android carries out its mission, allowing the crew to succumb to the xenomorph and crashing the ship into the city, unleashing a wave of death and destruction caused by the release of these lethal creatures. This act triggers the chain of events that Alien Earth will explore in depth, taking viewers on a tense and thrilling journey through the origins of the horror that will forever shape the future of humankind. At first glance, Weyland-Yutani's decision might seem completely nonsensical. Why release xenomorphs, such dangerous creatures, when it had always been understood that their main goal was to capture one alive for study and exploitation? This apparent contradiction, however, dissolves once we understand the context and the limited knowledge the corporation had at the time regarding the true extent of the danger these organisms posed. The series shows us that, at that stage, Weyland-Yutani had not yet fully grasped the threat, nor the biological and existential implications that the xenomorphs carried with them. Therefore, the strategy of releasing these beings, along with other organisms, on Earth serves a dual and complex purpose. On the one hand, to seek the direct elimination of their arch-rival, the megacorporation Prodigy, and on the other, to preserve the possibility of later recovering some valuable and perhaps less accessible samples of the specimens they were transporting, keeping alive the hope of continuing their experiments in the future. Furthermore, it's highly likely that toward the end of the season, or even at a climactic point of the entire series, we'll learn that these xenomorphs and other released creatures are almost entirely exterminated, leaving no trace or evidence that could be recovered or used for research. This event, far from being a definitive conclusion, marks a turning point in the narrative. Weyland-Yutani will recognize its grave mistake in eliminating Prodigy and we'll begin to understand that the true value of the xenomorph goes far beyond mere corporate rivalry or economic power. In reality, these creatures represent a biological and technological potential capable of altering the very destiny of humanity and its future scientific and military developments. This awakening of awareness within the company could mark the origin of the feared Order 937, a special protocol for the artificial intelligences known as Mother Models, which establishes strict guidelines for any Weyland-Yutani ship transporting alien organisms, and in particular, a xenomorph. The highest priority is to bring these creatures back to Earth, preferably alive, regardless of the cost or the human lives that may be lost in the process. This order explains later events in the saga, where the obsession with capturing these specimens alive becomes an unshakable mandate. If the series follows this narrative line, it would confirm a long-discussed and much-anticipated theory among fans of the franchise, that Weyland-Yutani already had prior knowledge about the xenomorphs long before the events shown in the original Alien film. This reinforces the idea that the company had known about organism XX-121 for quite some time, handling secret information and resources that had been guiding its actions throughout the saga. According to the official synopsis, the story follows Wendy, a hybrid between human and synthetic, who lives in Prodigy City, just as her company is about to announce a revolutionary technological breakthrough for humanity. However, everything changes when the USCS Maginot crashes into Prodigy City, releasing a series of dangerous creatures, including the dreaded xenomorph. Wendy and other synthetic hybrids, along with the city's inhabitants, find themselves trapped in the midst of this catastrophe, facing not only terrifying monsters, but also dark and deeply dangerous secrets hidden within the crashed vessel. The official trailers show Wendy and her fellow hybrids exploring the fallen ship, deploying their superhuman abilities, and operating under the orders of Prodigy's leader, who is desperately trying to uncover what was truly inside that alien craft. As the series approaches its end, it is highly probable that Weyland-Yutani will succeed in eliminating Prodigy, erasing any evidence that could implicate them and manipulating the media to make it all appear as nothing more than a minor accident. However, even if public opinion believes the threat has been neutralized, the corporation will secretly keep all the information gathered about the xenomorph and the events that occurred, guarding that data closely for future experiments in hopes of capturing live specimens that could further exploit this knowledge. One important detail worth noting is that we likely won't see the famous black goo or engineer pathogen, also known as the xenomorph virus or genetic accelerant, directly during the series. If Weyland-Yutani already possessed it, there would be no need to risk capturing live xenomorphs for study. Nevertheless, we can expect subtle and visual references to this iconic element. In one of the teasers titled Gestation, we see an organism resembling a facehugger forming inside an alien egg, with slowly multiplying cells that appear to contain that characteristic black fluid. This is a powerful visual nod that connects to what we saw in the prequel films, especially Prometheus and Romulus. What's fascinating is that these new life forms, beyond the classic xenomorph, are presented as some of the deadliest creatures in the universe, with notable similarities to discarded monsters and beings related to the engineer's pathogen. Concepts that were originally intended to appear in Prometheus and that were explored in David's experiments on Planet 4 during Alien Covenant. This connection works as a brilliant Easter egg for diehard fans, even if it doesn't necessarily imply that these new species are directly tied to the traditional xenomorph. It's clear that Noah Hawley, the series creator, has meticulously crafted every detail, drawing inspiration from those original concept designs to bring unforgettable and terrifying new creatures to life, ones that inject freshness into the saga. Personally, The anticipation couldn't be greater. The teasers and trailers have completely captured my attention, and I can't wait to discover how this thrilling and dark story unfolds. One that promises to expand the Alien legacy in ways we've never seen before.